colonialism had a myriad, various, never-ending challenges and negative impacts. But personally, I feel the introduction of their languages to ease their way was also a thing that could have benefited us indirectly. But rather, it turned into a weapon that was used to suppress our languages. Because imagine if I'm an East African and I can speak English, and a young woman in West Africa can speak English too. Imagine all the stories we could tell, all the history we could dig up because we can communicate. But the funny thing is, I'm closer to Egypt than a scholar in America. But the amount of knowledge I know about the Kemet study of hieroglyphics is almost non-existent. It's like we are waiting for an outsider to tell us our stories. And most times it comes in cliff notes that are biased. For example, when I was in primary, I was so excited to get to secondary because I thought this is where they are going to expand on the knowledge we are getting. I thought we are going to be discussing the meaning of the paintings at the New York painting site. I thought we were going to be speaking about the way of life of the people, our forefathers. But rather, you get there and the topic you're speaking about the most is colonialism, slavery, and you leave a class when your heart is beaten down and your levels of patriotism are just gone. We are waiting for someone to come and tell us the stories that we are living within. And also, there is a way we have kind of demonized, evilized our history. We don't want to touch it, especially when it comes to religion. There is a faith, the original African faith, on which our forefathers built kingdoms, built powerful chiefdoms. There is a faith that I forget the name of the rebellion, Chief Mukwao, used to send men into a rebellion because they believed, and they believed that his ancestors were giving him power. That kind of faith on which our forefathers stood to go and fight rebellions. But rather today, Nollywood and the stories we tell about it are only just witchcraft. But that was a faith on which our forefathers built communities and they believed. So, yes, it has its negative side, but what about that side that encouraged community, empowered unity? Why is it that we never speak about it? Those cliff notes that are biased is what we are going off to talk about our history. There are languages out there. I thought when I reached A-level, that's what we would be discussing. Linguistics of Africa. I mean, there are languages which we do not even know the phonetics of. If we had a spy network, we could use a singular language to send out messages and you would find like only 2 or 3 people in the West could interpret it. But we abandon all these things in favor of approaching westernized culture because it's easier. I mean, there is a myriad of knowledge we are sitting on, and the students, the young people in Africa are not empowered to find it, to study it. As a people, we are growing tired of always passing on generation onto generation history of slavery, colonialism, suffering. There was suffering, yes. There was pain. and it existed before the coming of the flag and the cross. There was joy, there was life within Africa before the West came. And those stories are almost completely abandoned. For example, there is a story I had about the demigod Ndahura, where he used to teach a game almost like football. They would tie baskets onto sticks and he would train the boys to utilize strategy and teamwork to get the ball back home. It was a game that was used to simulate hunting, protecting their community, and it was a way of consolidating unity in society. And the story of Ndahura today in textbooks can only take up 2 or 3 lines. And there are a myriad of stories about several demigods. There is a time I used to say it seems Namiyonga is the Hades of African mythology. But these stories are not explored at all. We sit on knowledge, wisdom, things that can empower our society, and we pick the easy path. But what gives me hope is that so many creatives and artists today are exploring African knowledge from the African perspective. And I don't know who has the power out there, but support them, because you grow tired of always going into class and you're studying only the negative side, only the biased side. I mean, we have left the onus of patriotism, cultivating it to fashion, the music industry, and yet this knowledge could inspire so many young people to fall in love and seek to develop their homes. We should stop allowing a person to come and tell us our own stories and only give us the biased side. There is potential here. There was life, there was joy, there was pain before the flag and the cross. And it's our responsibility to seek it out.